My name is Gwen Miner, and I am here to help you identify viable acorns that you can plant in your in some pots so that you can grow a big old oak tree, just like the one that you have on your property. A lot of you have out there. So my name is Gwen Miner, like I said, and I have been loving trees for all of my life, but I'm particularly drawn to oak trees. And there was an oak tree about 6 years ago on Alameda that I saw was going to be cut down by the city, and I didn't want that to happen. And so I got up there before sunrise. I stayed up there for 12 hours, stopped the city from doing what they wanted to do.
Yay!
And but it stopped them for a couple of months. And then they had to take the tree down. And I was there for that occasion, which was very sad. It was a big tree like yours. And I'll show you a picture of it in the slideshow. But that's my background in oaks, and I just love them. And I teach all my children. I'm a teacher, so I try to teach all the kids about oaks and how important they are and what they can do to protect and preserve and carry them into the future. And this is Jane Taylor. Jane has been in Redwood City for a long time and started a group called City Trees, and they've been in existence for 20 years or more. Is that correct, Jane? And could you give us an update about what City Trees is all about and what kind of work they do?
I'm going off mute. Abby's cooking her dinner in the background. So City Trees is a nonprofit, and it's hitting 20 years exactly right now. Ironically, there's a board meeting happening right now, and I'm just emeritus status, but we grassroots planting trees in Redwood City, mainly street trees, parks, public right-of-way type trees, and then pruning them, maintaining them. So it's a partnership with the city of Redwood City, and the money comes from grants and donations, and then the volunteer groups. There's at large volunteers and volunteer groups. So it's pretty cool. And a little bit of education, but this is a piece, this whole idea of stewardship of our heritage oaks is, I think probably we'll kind of hatch this idea and get it all up and running, and maybe, it'll become something that's a nice program for residents that want to do, see our oak trees preserved and start the next generation of oak trees, and then do advocacy too. We've got a heritage tree ordinance on the city books, but there are no heritage trees nominated that will be preserved by this. And there's just a lot that can be done to make sure these trees stay protected. And should I talk about this map here?
I would love that. Yes, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
So a year ago, Gwen and I just started talking about what we could do about these heritage trees, and we have a whole long laundry list of things that we can do. So we're starting with this formally. So one of the things I had started doing was I found this map of Dingy Park, and if you can see, this is from 1909, and it was a plot map. So when people wanted to buy a piece of land in the Dingy Park neighborhood, which is now Mont Carmel and Redwood Highlands actually Eagle Hill, you would look at this map and you would pick out your plot. But I noticed on there it said the black dots are actually oak trees, and all the flatlands of the El Camino corridor were oak savanna. So oak trees and grassland, valley oak trees and grass. And so the trees that are on this map are actually the original oaks from pre-California oaks, because this land had been subdivided. It was kept intact. It was part of the Arguello, Madame Arguello's Spanish rancho. So I walked around, and Gwen too, and the orange dots are these oaks that are still standing. So these are 2 and 3 and 4 and 500-year-old oaks, the orange dots. So these still remain in our neighborhood. And there happens to be a concentration here. I'm not sure why the Woodside Road corridor, they probably were cut down for wood and building and all that, because that was a creek corridor. That's where they dragged that's where it was a transportation corridor. So anyway, so that kind of got us talking, and so here we are.
And one of the ways to sort of carry on those beautiful oaks that are on that map is to propagate and spread them around and just get people excited and organized to make an effort. I think if we all come together, we could make a big difference. Just picking up that bag of about 100 acorns from your house, Sonia, was amazing. Her children, do you have, was it one child or do you have more children? 4 children. So did they all gather the acorns? Oh, hi, sweetie.
They've been picking up acorns. That's just one bag. They had other bags, and then they lined them all up on the fence. Probably another 100 or 200. They've had a good time with acorns, but we love our tree very much.
Oh, I'm so glad you're there. Well, you are a big part of tonight's presentation
I think
because I took your acorns.
Hi.
Hi. And I put them in a pot with water and soaked them.
Oh, you're germinating them.
Yes, some of them floated, and those are the ones we can't use,
Okay.
but some of them sunk. And then those are the ones that we'll plant.
Oh, is that how you can tell? Did you hear that, Isaac?
Yeah.
She put those acorns in water, and that's how she knows which ones we can plant. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I have photographs of your acorns. Would you like to see them?
A picture of it.
Okay, great. Jane, would you let me share my screen and I'll start the presentation?
Okay, so
Thanks
let's
so much.
see her.
You might have to let me allow.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. I'm a new video host here, so let's see. I don't want to mute you. Da, 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 da. Hey, Abby, can you help me find where I can?
Yeah.
Oh, I see here. It's this green down here.
Share screen?
Okay.
You usually do it from your own computer. So say,
So Gwen wants to share her screen.
yeah, so you should see a little green icon at the bottom of your screen, and it'll have a little up green arrow, and it says share screen. And if you just click on that, you can select what like window you want to show.
I
So-
see it.
It says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, then advanced sharing options. You can
Oh
share.
yeah.
It says
Fabulous.
it says you should be able to,
No.
but it won't. It's not clickable.
Maybe click on one participant and then see. Yeah.
Oh,
Click all
okay. There you go. Everybody can share.
Thank you. There we go. All right. I'm so excited. Sonia's, do you have a name for your big old oak tree, Sonia?
No, we don't. That never even occurred to me. Jacob, do we have a name for our tree? Jacob, do we have a name for our oak tree?
It's Doug now.
Well, Dan says it's Doug. But Jacob says it's Doug, but no, we don't. But we'll think about it now.
Tree.
Tree E.
Wow. Well, this is, so here's the beginning of the slideshow. And I wanted to show you the beacon oak, which was on Alameda at, help me out, Jane, do you remember?
Goodwin. Goodwin.
Goodwin. Right near Kennedy Middle School. And that was the tree that started my local activism for oak trees. That's my little car right next to it, and that's no longer there. Right where it was, now there's, they put a pedestrian crossing in there, and actually there are a couple of little oaks there that are babies from this one that are growing. And actually the city was very, very cooperative and helpful and generous in saving the tree. They took the trunk and they took it to the city yard and saved it. And the branches went into Stallstaff Park. And my job was to make an art piece out of it, but I'm not very good at organizing things like that. So what ended up happening is Jane's daughter took a part of the, Abby, who was just helping us there, took a big chunk of the trunk, and she had a German itinerant chainsaw artist carve it into a bench for Kennedy Middle School, and using the mascot of Kennedy, which is a mountain lion. And it's a beautiful it's a beautiful, beautiful bench. And so Abby, it's on display on the campus there at Kennedy. And I think they've moved it because they did some work at Kennedy over the summer. So, but it is still there on campus and in a primary position. So I will, let's see if I can, I don't know how to, okay. Oh. Next.
Page down, maybe?
Yeah, it keeps going beep, beep, beep. Let me see.
Are you staying in that?
I think if I share it. So here's me in the tree trying to save it. Maybe if I don't present, it allows me to. So I was up there for a long, long time, and there's something about oak trees, and this is a collection of prints that I have from England, and these are ancient oak trees, and look how they resemble the oak that I was sitting in. It's just remarkable. And there's another image of it, and here are some with people underneath the tree. And this is the Calthorpe oak, which is right here and right here. So in England, they have people who are interested in ancient trees, and they do work to preserve them. I just wanted to show the little, do you see me up in the tree there? Sonia's child. So oaks go way back for humans, and now we want to start propagating them on a large scale, and we are the beginning of it. And here are some of my first graders from a few years ago going into the trees, because I took them on a little oak tour of the school where I used to work at Clifford, and we went, and they went gathering oaks, and we did exactly what I'm going to show you how to do tonight. So here we had baskets, and they went into the woods, and this little boy has acorns in his hands. It was very, very exciting. So here we are at the instructions. So you are going to, when you collect your oak acorns, try to keep them separate from each other. So you want to make sure that, because you want to document where you're finding them and what the species is and anything else that you think might be important. So keep the acorns from different trees separate from one another, and write down where you found each group. And I think I'll just do this because I'm not. The next thing you do is you separate the acorns. These are the acorns that Sonia gave me yesterday. So these are actually the acorns that were in that bag. Isn't that nice to know? So I went through your acorns, and the ones on the left in the yellow sieve or strainer had cracks in them or holes from, actually it was remarkable how few of them had holes in your acorns. So a lot of the ones that I have seen have holes in them from a little worm, and Jane had some too that had a little worm coming out of them. But yours, I didn't see any that had, they had these cracks down. So I think that was a very good sign. But I don't know what the cracks were for. I didn't know if they were because they were, it's later in the season, maybe earlier in the season, they would have been not cracked. So I'm not sure what that was all about. But you separate the acorns with the holes and the cracks from the acorns that look good. And then the next thing that you do is you look through your collection once more. And this was the good group that you saw that was not in that yellow basket. These are the ones that look like they might be viable. And I just put them into 3 groups. These here, these 5 were the best chance group. This one here was a good chance, and these are a slight chance. So when I go into the kitchen and show you the big pot that I put them in, you'll see which ones floated and which ones did not. Can you count how many acorns are in the best pile? Tell me how many fingers.
Show fingers. Show with your fingers.
Absolutely. There are 5 that look good. So then you take them into the kitchen or wherever you're going to do your work. And these are on the stove, but there's no heat under them. It's just that I have a small kitchen. And I got some big pots. I put water in all 3 of them, and then I put all of your acorns in this one pot on the left. So these are from Sonia's big, beautiful valley oak. And these are the acorns that I picked up on the campus at MIT, right near the staff gate. And you can see that I wrote information about it on a plastic bag. I made the mistake of putting the acorns in the plastic bag, and within hours, a mold started to form. So I took them immediately out and put them in those strainers. That's why you saw them. They should be stored in a basket or a strainer, but nothing where it's sealed off, because then it will generate mold and mildew. So the acorns that sink will be the ones to plant. So let's see if we can find Sonia's acorns.
Gwen, do you know what it is about sinking that makes it more viable or preferable?
Well, the ones that float have been damaged either through they have the germ of the acorn inside has been desiccated in some way or damaged through insect. So the ones that have the holes in them, they will float, and the ones that have the cracks will float. But the ones that are healthy they're heavy and intact, and they sink. So as you can see, the 5 acorns I thought were best from Sonia's oak have sunk to the bottom. You can actually see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a little tiny one hiding right there, I think. So we'll go into the kitchen and look for them. And these are the ones that I will plant, the 5 that fell to the bottom. I might just for experimental reasons, put the rest in some dirt and mark them as being less viable. But these will be the ones that I think are viable. And then we'll see if the other ones grow. I have no idea. I'm excited to find out, and these are Jane's acorns. And we were on a FaceTime, or no, we were on a phone call or something the other day, and she sent me photos. No, we were on FaceTime, weren't we? We were talking face to face. And this is a beautiful oak in her neighbor's yard. And Jane has collected and you put them in 2 acorns in a container, and just fill it with the dirt that you're going to, just from under your tree. You could probably just scrape up some of that wonderful dirt with some of the acorn dust that you talked about. And that will really be good for the germinating, because it'll be healthy and akin to the ground. You don't want to put it in like perfect sterilized soil. You want it to be natural.
Like gardens. So what I liked about that, like we talked about, well, where should we get? So I thought for me, our back windows look out on this beautiful valley oak, and it's just magnificent specimen, and the neighbors are our friends and they really care about this oak tree. And this oak tree is on that map. And Sonia, did you see that? Were you here when the map was there? Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm going to start my little nursery with the number 50 Iris Street Valley Oak tree that's been there for that's probably a 300-year, 250. And so we did the sinking and floating and ended up with 8 acorns. I put two in each, and then just for kicks, the last one farthest from the view is ones that that actually I found them, they look good, and I just threw them in there and as an experiment to see where they, so we got 4 that will probably be a sure bet. And then if both sprout in each pot, I'll just divide it out and pot them separately, but I didn't have much dirt.
That's a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
Did you just get it from your yard?
Yeah, so now there's holes.
Yeah. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on that, Jane. And I would like, if you could also take some, I'll show you how to record so that you can keep track of the information.
Yeah, and there's a couple other oak trees in our neighborhood I just love, and the sink float thing didn't work for them. So.
Oh, did they all float?
Yeah, and also I'm just getting those acorns from my walk on their sidewalk, so there's not that many there to pick up.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So.
Well, this is Sonia's tree.
Ooh, wow.
I took this from across the street because I was just so amazed at the canopy of this tree. And then as I was driving away.
Where is this?
She lives in San Carlos.
Yeah, I think we might do that same experiment. The corner.
And then as I was driving away, I saw this little gnome. I was amazed. So, was this one of the holes that you talked about, Sonia?
No, actually, this one is closing up, but it's the ones on top. I should show. It's too dark right now, but we had a hole at the top and a hole in the side, in the front. And the hole in the front, I wasn't as worried about because I figured, it's not going to rain. And I was really worried about the one on top because it was raining. And I was thinking of all these ways I could fill it. What could we put on top? How do you deal with it? but once I started, raking the leaves off the street and putting them back on our yard and not putting them in the compost, once I learned that they're actually something that people like use for fertilizer, essentially, then I started putting back on, and I would go to the neighbors. I would just, everything on the street I would rake into our yard and dump on our ground. And the holes have literally, they're a third of the size that they were. The one in front and even the one on top is dramatically closing. So because I was worried about all that moisture in the rainy season getting down right into the middle of the tree, but it's healing up. So I'm hopeful that it'll, yeah.
And
Yeah.
how long have you been a caretaker of this beautiful oak tree?
Well, we've lived there for 10 years, but I would say probably like 5 years that we've really been, more intentional about its care. I mean, we prune it every 2 years. It is a beautiful, we obviously didn't have anything to do with the shaping of it, but it is a beautiful shape.
Yeah.
And we put the swings on it. Well, there's 3 swings on it. We did that soon after we moved in. So this is a tree that people gather under, right? We're a block from the school, so people come. This is the tree where all the neighborhood kids come and swing in our yard, and their parents stand outside underneath and chat. So this tree gets a lot of love.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
So let me just say, San Carlos was in that oak savanna, right? The El Camino corridor. And there's so many fewer valley oaks, which are also called white oaks. And really that neighborhood, it needs re-oaking because you've got these venerable big old ones, but there's not crops of little ones. Around here, there's ones that squirrels have started and small and mediums and intermediates and then the big, but for some reason there's just the big ones for the most part. And this is a great project to take on because what you can say to all the people that are chatting, we want to repropagate our neighborhood. And here,
Great idea.
and here, look at the kids and I planted these. We're going to start some seedlings. And if you would like to plant
Your own oak tree.
we will help you do it and find a good place. It can't be in a watered yard, a sod turf lawn, and just help them find the right spot because you don't want it under power lines. You don't want it too close to a house or too close to but when they admire your tree, you can say, we really need to get more of these started in our yard because this will not last forever. And you will always want to be planting new trees. So you have the full age spectrum of trees. That's true. That's true for any kind of a tree, an urban forest. But you start with this example of this magnificent tree and you love it. And the people your friends that stand there and talk and admire it, you can get them hooked. And then, because we can't grow all these little seedlings and we need a place for them to go live. And
well, people have around here really prioritized their lawns, right? I mean, it's manicured, it's blown, right? You've got the gas blowers going 90 miles an hour. And there's a lot, it reminds me, actually, it makes me think that, so if you go back up one picture, go back up to the other one you had there. We have this garden. So if you look at the, I don't know if you can zoom in. So see this where it says, I have bike bags. I also started San Carlos Bikes. So I do a lot of bike advocacy and I have this gardening cart there. And right now it has bike to work bag days for bikers and to pick up. But I'm thinking that what I can do, that'll give that another month. And then maybe our acorns will have sprouted and we could keep an ongoing take whatever you want from this tray, right? And just keep filling it. And then we could even, like where these paper pages are right now, we could really do some education on that, right? Like, so if you want to help me figure out what that literature is, then we can, or your booklets or whatever, we could certainly make a display for people to celebrate the oaks and then take these seedlings. That's a great idea. I'm excited to go out to the yard and find a much more to plant.
Oh, wow, I'm so
And-
happy to hear that.
And you think about it, it's named the White Oaks neighborhood because of these trees, and there's so few left.
They're falling down. Yeah.
Yeah, which is natural, end of life, but there's so many yards that don't have any trees whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know why people just don't have even tall bushes, it's, and the benefits of these large shade trees are tremendous. It creates, there's so many benefits of large shade trees in a neighborhood. Property, whatever you want, property values, keeps your house cooler,
Shade,
reduces
and
crime,
pollen.
reduces noise and pollution, and
Yeah.
creates this, so wow, that's really cool. So this can be like definitely like a project, just like the biking thing.
Yeah, it'll be an information and seed pickup area. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I'm maybe White Oak School could get involved too. I mean,
That would make sense.
because
Ooh,
that's the way.
is that your school?
Yeah. My kid Tessa goes to White Oaks Elementary. Isaac will too.
You know the mosaic mural that's on the MUR?
Yes.
So I helped put that up.
Did you? I love it.
Yeah, so it's got the big oak tree. Gwen, I think I showed that to you.
Maybe you did, but a long time ago.
Yeah, so my friend is Barbara Bustler, the artist that designed it and was the principal, but then she let me know, oh my God, there's so much work to do. Would I come and help? So I'm like, an oak tree, oh my God, I want to do the oak tree part of it. And so, she put in hundreds of hours, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful project. And it's in that little, around that tree. And
Yeah.
it's
I'll
really,
have to go and see it. I subbed there years ago, like in 2005 and 2006. And I remember one day the squirrels came up and I saw them go into a little kid's paper bag lunch and take something out and just go away. And I thought, wow, this is really a cool neighborhood. Wow, the squirrels have it made.
really nice school.
Well, this is what I left for your family, this mini field guide to California native oaks, and it's available to download. I will put it up to download on a blog that I have for neighborhood trees. And I've really felt strongly over many years about San Carlos trees because I used to live there. And there was an oak tree on the property where I was living, but I lived, and I wasn't able to save it. And somehow a developer bought the property and it was taken down, but it was probably 400 or 500-year-old. No, it was a live oak, and it was enormous. And I lived in a little cottage right underneath. And every August and September, the acorns would fall, and it would just be ping, 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 all night long. And I felt really bad about that. Here are two oak gall pages that will also be available to download on the website. And this is something that a lot of people in our communities mistake for, what do they mix them up sometimes with the buckeyes, because we do have buckeyes in this part of near Edgewood Park. And but these oak galls are really amazing. They actually used to grind them in the Middle Ages and use them for ink. So you can actually grind them down and add water to them, and you use a pen, a nib or something from a feather, and write like they did in the Middle Ages. And they don't hurt the tree, and they come in all different shapes. There's one that looks like a little star. They call it the spined turban, this one right here. is on one of my oaks in the yard. And these oak apples, you see them all over and the kids love them. And sometimes when you see them, they'll have holes in them. And that is because it's a wasp that injects something in it, some material, genetic material into the bark of the oak, and it grows a little sac for the insects' babies. So the babies are actually born inside of the oak apples, and they push themselves out, and that's what the holes are. So sometimes you'll see them, they're very, very light. It's because they've been eaten inside by the insects, by the little wasps. But it doesn't hurt the tree. And my students were always concerned about it. Does it kill the tree? Like mistletoe, usually people think mistletoe is a big, what do they call it?
Parasite.
Parasite, yes. But it's more symbiotic relationship than a parasite. And that'll be up on this blog that I have going. And here are 3 websites that I recommend. This is the website where the neighborhood trees are around here, and that I started. And California Relief is a state organization, and City Trees is Jane's organization that plants in Redwood City. And I think they've planted over 3,000 trees. Is it like 3,500 almost, Jane?
I don't know the exact, but it's well over 3,000.
Yeah, I think there was it says here.
Oh, there you go.
So they have a tree count. And this, I just really feel strongly that San Carlos needs somebody to advocate for their trees, because they're becoming treeless, and the trees that they have are very sterile, and they're not the native species, and they're being cut down quite a bit. So there's that beautiful website for you to look at. And here's California Relief. And they're a great organization. There's also another organization that Jane and I have been investigating. It's called
the Reoaking
Valley. Yeah. I don't know if that's their official name, but if you Google Reoaking Silicon Valley, some things start to come up. It's a fairly new organization, but they're specializing in oaks, and it's specialized for the peninsula.
And to reestablish the oak savannas that were here when the area was discovered by the Spaniards. So that would be a good one to add to that little list there.
That's a good, yes, I will do that. And then this was, I don't know if you saw it, Sonia, but about a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe, a tree here in Redwood City, a big old oak, was going to be cut down by a developer, and some people on Nextdoor organized, and we went over to put up signs, because the developer and the city were going to meet. They were having a meeting that day. So we actually got the city to say that, yeah, this is a decent oak. It's not in any bad shape. It's a healthy oak, and you can't cut it down. So we actually saved that tree. And
wow. So they will build around it now, or how are they going to do it?
Yeah, they have to change their building plan. It was just a residential, somebody's house, an older house that they're going to knock down and put something big up.
Yeah.
There's a developer called Thomas James that has put Redwood City, the flatlands, in the bullseye, and they buy cash for these properties, scrape them, and then put up kind of a cookie cutter monster home. I mean, same thing's happening in San Carlos, but it's this developer who's a bit rabid with,
He likes his clean slates.
Yep. And then, it's controversial in many aspects, including, tearing down historic homes, and it doesn't fit into the neighborhood, and they're supersized. And anyway, so this was the first time there was a tree situation, and it got solved very quickly with Gwen and these
Wow.
people that rallied on next door. It was pretty cool to just see it unfold. I was out of town, so I was just sort of watching it on next door and texting and with.
Yeah, we made signs, and I wasn't in charge of it. And that was really nice for me because I'm not very good at organizing adults. I'm better at organizing children. So this is something that I put up so that people could write to the officials, and I gave you a template for saving trees to give some more information. Then it goes back. This is the tree that they cut down. And here are the kids signing a petition, I didn't organize people to do this either, but because I got up in the tree, people came out, got 350 signatures to try to save it, but it was not to be. So that's the tree. And then here's a view from up above
Oh, wow.
the tree. So there's my leg.
Oh,
Save my legs. Oh, I should have said that, but there's my leg. And people really loved that tree. So since this has happened, I've gone to England a number of times, and they have ways of, actually, I'd like to get your arborist information, Sonia. Maybe I could talk to you offline about that, but I'd like to get the local arborists and the city connected with these people in England, because they have old ways of managing these ancient trees. And
we need that because my neighbor just tripped over the sidewalk that this tree's root has raised, and had massive, she's 80 and had just, broke rib and eye and bruising and broke her wrist. It was really, really severe. So we have to fix the sidewalk below this tree, and we're working with Main Tree currently, and we need to figure out, so if you can give me ways that don't involve some of the things that I think at this point the best thing is going to be to bubble out, but even bubbling out, something's going to need to get trimmed at that root to make the sidewalk safe. So yeah, whatever you can give me, I definitely need to talk.
So Sonia, I wonder if, so we've got the similar policy where in here the residents have to maintain their sidewalk. It's your liability. We have a cost share program where the city pays half and the resident pays half, but
we have that too.
Okay, so the bottom line is it's the people that with the sidewalks work with the tree people, because the priority is to save the trees. So they do employ different strategies to figure out what's the best strategy for your tree situation. So the goal is to save the tree. And, sometimes it would mean just trimming one root, like trees can lose a root or two and it's not a big deal. But sometimes it's a combination of moving the sidewalk a little bit. The priority is tree. And if the city's not supporting efforts to do everything you can to keep the health of the tree in mind, it needs to go up the chain, and then it's.
I'm pretty sure it will. They had a big tree fiasco in the best possible sense over on Ruby a few years ago. And that tree was saved and they bubbled out the sidewalk.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so that we had a good precedent. They were begging people to stop writing them letters. And
really, that is good news.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're receptive, or at least they don't want to be bombarded with emails.
Right. Those are indistinguishable.
Well, let me take you into the kitchen and we'll take a look at your 5 acorns that were put in the pot here. And
Tessa, the acorns that Tessa collected, she put
pot to see which ones floated and which ones sink, and then she's gonna plant them. You're gonna have
These?
You're gonna be a grandma.
Ooh. Looks like more of them sunk after, these have been in for 24 hours.
No, baby.
When Gwen showed me that photo this morning, I thought that was like her dinner. I didn't know what she was showing me. On the stove. Like some weird risotto recipe.
So I'll take them over here, put them down. There they are. I don't know if you could see. Maybe I should stop sharing my screen. That would help a lot. Stop share. And maybe we could pin me. Is there a way to pin so that my screen is get big?
Oh gosh,
Way to pin me.
done that.
Or am I pinned on your screen?
Yep.
As long as you're talking and we aren't, you're good.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Because Jane is pinned on my screen. So here are your acorns but I see that some of them have, cracks in them. So it could be that they just got waterlogged. But I did see this one here was a beauty. And I have great hope for this one. I just wanted to show you this one. And there's a little teeny tiny one. I don't know where this one came from. I mean, it was in your bag, but it's just a little tiny baby. But here's another really good one. And so basically you just take soil from your yard and you fill it with a mixture. I'm not very good I don't really know like numbers, like 20% compost or whatever, but make a nice rich environment for your acorns. Fill it up and put 2 acorns in each and get let's see. These are the tongue depressors that I left, or they're just big popsicle sticks. So I left these for you yesterday, Sonia, and you can write down information on them and stick it in there. And I also went out in my garden and I found that I had some old tags, that you get in the plants that stick in the plants. And if you flip them over, sometimes they're white and you can just reuse them. And you can write with a Sharpie on there. And then to keep the squirrels out, because they love to get into these, you can take chicken wire or some kind of wire and just put it over like that to give it some a good chance of not being disturbed, because once they get disturbed, that it's very bad, because they need to be undisturbed. And I wanted to show you the difference of some of the acorns that I found in my neighborhood. Look at these ginormous acorns.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen such
And you can see how different, what the size is compared to the oak acorns that I got from Sonia's. These are from a valley oak as well, but it was a young oak. And I don't know, and this was in my neighborhood, so I have to go back and find out. This is a mixture of some valley oak and some live oaks that I got on a walk in my neighborhood recently, but I have to go back and find the exact address, and I want to get a picture of it. So any kind of recording you can do would be really helpful. And
I was just going to say what I did on those walks, I'd come back and to keep them straight, I would write like, 27, Grand Street. I'd just write it on the acorn so I could keep it straight where I had picked up.
You wrote it right on the acorn?
Yeah, with a Sharpie.
What an interesting idea.
Again, I would only get a couple from each yard on my walk, but I didn't have buckets to get from somebody else's yard like you guys have. So this was when I was just picking my favorite trees on walks, but
That's a great idea, Jane. It sounds like it worked. Thank you, everyone. I don't want to take up your time. I know you have lots to do. And it is about, is it 8 o'clock? It is 8:03, so we're just about an hour into our program. So thank you so much for coming. Jane, you want to cut the recording and then we could just say goodbye to everyone?
okay, my first recording. Okay, I'm gonna